You think Zionists don't know what they're doing when they lean into these anger campaigns to try to activate some of the most schizophrenic Republicans in the country to go do their bidding, to come and try and assassinate me? You think they don't know what they're doing? You think Zionists don't know what they're doing when they foment Islamophobia? Of course they know what they're doing. Of course they know what they're fucking doing. It's not like they're hiding it. They say it out loud. They say it out loud. Here is one example of this. Diaspora Affairs Minister saying out loud that their new strategy is to no longer appeal to concerns of anti-Semitism, but to go all in with the European and American right on Islamophobia. Here is Israeli Diaspora Minister Amichai Chikli. Anti-Semitism does not interest the average European or the average American. Radical Islam interests them very much, very, very much, and therefore we need to take advantage of that.
עם האגף השמרני האמריקאי והאירופי, נגד האסלאם הקיצוני ונגד האחים המוסלמים. זה צריך להיות האסטרטגיה. כי כאן יש לנו בעצם בסיס משותף שהוא לא לבוא ולומר כמה חשוב.
By the way, this isn't new. Dropsite reported on this already months ago. I covered it. I didn't predict this. I covered what was happening because I was one of its fucking victims, one of its earliest victims. I've been experiencing this nonsense for like the last 3 years at this point. Do you understand? Orospu çocuğu. Üzgünüm Hasan, bununla başa çıkmak zorunda olduğun için. They know they can't make people love Israel. But what they can do is make its critics out to be Islamic jihadists. Make Israel's critics out to be fifth column style Islamic infiltrators and try to tar and feather or try to connect, because like there are a lot of obviously Arabs, there are a lot of Arab Christians as well, and a lot of people in the pro-Palestine movement that are Muslim. And these countries, the Western world broadly, is still very Islamophobic. So what they're trying to do now is make it seem like every single person that cares about Gaza or wants to use our tax dollars here, okay, all of those people are actually dangerous, scary terrorists that want to do Sharia law. And Michael LaRosa's doing it. I mean, he's like literally a foreign agent for, I think, Dubai. This is a lobbyist firm that he works for that's a Trump bundler backed by, I mean, the guy who he works for is a major Trump bundler, right? Like a donor for MAGA, right-wing donor. And the firm is actually hired by Dubai and Libya, if I'm not mistaken. So he's like a registered foreign agent. And of course, if he's like a UAE foreign lobbyist, like you might as well chalk that up as a registered foreign agent for Israel all the same, because UAE's influence operations are directly in line with Israel's influence operations. UAE is actually responsible for a big chunk of the Islamophobia that happens in the Western world. Tommy Robinson in the UK is a major UAE-backed firebrand, right? Like Tommy Robinson, the anti-Islam white nationalist. This is also, this has been reported in the past. UAE is a proxy for Israel. Yes, absolutely. Check logs. Case in point, Tommy Robinson shouting him out. Yeah, Robinson wished Chickley success. Amichai Chickley. Controversial far-right figure Tommy Robinson to send a video message of support to the Israeli minister Amichai Chickley ahead of a Likud election. Robinson wished Chickley success and referred to him as his dear friend. Robinson praised Chickley for what he described as his understanding of the problems the West faces, calling for Western patriots to unite in defense of Western civilization. In recent years, Robinson has been accused of having strong ties with Israel, with critics referring to him as Tel Aviv Tommy. Some critics have also alleged that Robinson acts as an Israeli asset, while reports have shown that pro-Israel organizations have helped fund his legal costs. So, not everyone who supports Israel is Islamophobic, but most people, not every Islamophobe supports Israel, okay? But everyone who supports Israel is Islamophobic. So that's definitely a thing that's happening. And obviously we have to cover it from we have to cover it because it's going to have, it's currently having some kind of electoral impact. Here's another version of this. Matthew Cassell from Jewish Insider reports, Michigan Jewish leaders are circulating an open letter urging Jewish Democrats in the state to sign their names in support of Mike Rogers over Abdul El-Sayed for Senate. The letter is read by Eric Bronstein, a Detroit Jewish leader and businessman, among others. Michigan Jews against extremism. The idea that Mike Rogers is not the extremist in this race, and it's actually Abdul El-Sayed that is the extremist in this race, is straight up racist. Okay? I'm sorry. I've said this over and over again. The danger to American Jews does not come from Muslims. It comes from white nationalists. And American Jews that think that they can align with white nationalists, with right-wingers in general, are actually really having a chickens for KFC moment. I understand that for many older American Jews, Israel has a very special place in their heart, and they feel as though Israel is under attack, and they feel as though a lot of these attacks are coming from a place of anti-Semitism, right? But you have to give up on your emotional support apartheid state. These people that you think you are aligning with are going to send you to the same concentration camps that we get sent to first. It blows my mind. It blows my mind. American Jews are racist. Who cares what they think about anti-Zionists? Dude. This is not a beneficial mode of communication. Okay? Just across the board saying American Jews are one way is ridiculous. Okay? It's ridiculous. You're literally leaning into it. You're leaning into this narrative. No one is monolithic. White people are not monolithic. Jews are not monolithic. No group is monolithic. Of course, statements like this lead people into believing that American Jews are monolithic. And that's why statements like this are fucked up and dangerous. And I won't stop advocating for my values. I won't stop combating anti-Semitism as well as every other form of bigotry, even if every Jewish institution in the country comes out and says, Hasan Piker is our biggest threat. Okay? And we're pretty much there at this point, with the exception of like Jewish Voice for Peace and other anti-Zionist Jewish institutions. Virtually every Jewish institution in the country at this point has yelled about me being an ever-present danger. I have not shied away from expressing my opinion of the toxic and incorrect nature of anti-Semitism, regardless. Because my values are my values, irrespective to what Zionist institutions are presenting themselves as. I don't do it for ass covering. Many people falsely assume that I'm doing it for ass covering. Oh, I'm paying the piper. I have to say this stuff. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I say. They treat me as though I'm a dangerous anti-Semite nonetheless. If anything, they treat me as a more toxic figure because of my uncompromising anti-Zionist position and my uncompromising position against anti-Semitism. In any case, Michigan Jews against extremism. We are Michigan citizens and voters. We are Democrats and independents. We are proud American Jews. We care about the safety of our community, the health of our political discourse, and the future of our country. We declare our intent to vote for Mike Rogers in the U.S. Senate in 2026. Many of us have been fiercely supportive of Democratic candidates and principles. All of us have felt threatened and alienated by the politics and allies embraced by Abdul al-Sayed, which has included demonization of Jews, equivocation on terrorism, exclusion of Jewish Americans from public life, and expression of implacable hatred of the world's only Jewish nation. We believe these core messages of his candidacy are bad for the Democratic Party, harmful to the safe and thriving Jewish community in Michigan, and detrimental to the future of the country. If al-Sayed were to win the general election in this important swing state, implacable. Sorry. I just don't understand what service this provides. Like, what purpose is this serving other than making members of the Jewish community in Michigan actually hysterical? Because if you think Abdul al-Sayed is an anti-Semite, you're fucking hysterical. One of the first backers of Abdul al-Sayed was Andy Levin, the president of his own synagogue, a proud Michigan Jew. That was one of his first backers. Levin, sorry. Abdul al-Sayed is backed by many Jewish Michiganders. Abdul al-Sayed has never demonstrated any hatred to any group. Certainly not Jews. Certainly not anybody else. So, what's insane about this is all you're doing is freaking out. Placate is the root word for implacable. Has nearly the same pronunciation. Thank you. This is just self-induced diaspora syndrome, rejecting all of your personal political values to defend reactionary nationalism, something we are all familiar with, but in this case, you're not even diaspora to the state anyway. Yeah, no, that's it. That's it. If al-Sayed were to win the general election in this important swing state, we fear the far left and anti-Jewish elements within the Democratic Party would become dominant, including the imminent 2028 presidential race. We cannot allow him to become the Democratic standard bearer or Michigan senator. We know Mike Rogers served ably in the House of Representatives in his early career in the military, national security, and law enforcement. He has been and will be a friend to the Jewish community. Our vote for Mike Rogers does not require that we agree with him on every issue or that we support President Trump. Yes, it does, by the way. Yes, it does. It 100% does. You're saying that You don't want someone who is critical of Israel, who literally abides by the overwhelming majority position on Israel, to be the deciding vote on the Democratic Senate majority to create an environment of accountability, just a little bit of legislative accountability on the current president, the current fascist president, because you're worried about its considerations for 2028 with American Democrats and their relationship with the state of Israel that has done a genocide, that's maintaining an apartheid. It is one of the most toxic forms of nationalism that I have ever seen. I don't think this is indicative of the broader attitude of Michigan Jews. Okay? I don't think this is correct. But the media will go to some of the community leaders and make it seem as though every Democratic voter who is Jewish in Michigan now is terrified of Abdullah Sayed. They did this with Zohran Mamdani. It wasn't the case in New York City, and it will not be the case in Michigan either. It's not even American nationalism, which is crazy. No, that's what's insane about it. It's Israeli nationalism that is leaning into American nationalism. Have you learned nothing? Look, I know my name is Hasan. I am, the number one scary force in American politics for American Jews is what you've seen in your media, what you've heard. But do you not recognize what dangerous forces you're playing with when you lean into American fascism? You think if you're Jewish and you're worried about another Holocaust happening, what do you think is the higher likelihood of another Holocaust potentially happening? American fascism that you're leaning into, or restricting Israel from continuing to do fascism? Insane. Wake the fuck up. Acting as though Mike Rogers is not the radical one here, but Abdullah al-Sayed is a betrayal. Is a betrayal of thousands of years of Jewish history. It's a betrayal of the revolutionary history that has been a formative part of Jewish history from its beginning. Ridiculous. It blows my mind that the last 100 years of Zionism has almost entirely eroded thousands of years of shared Jewish history. It blows my fucking mind. I cannot understand it. Here in Michigan this year and in this Senate race, our well-being and our own voices are at stake. This is a moment when each of us must speak out. We're voting for Mike Rogers. We ask other Michigan Jews to vote with us, to join us. Anyway, they are fascist, Jewish or not, doesn't matter. If they support a fascist state committing a genocide, they're fascist. I know. But this also betrays the immediate self-interest that American Jews have. If their immediate self-interest revolves around self-preservation, they're making the wrong decision here regardless. Yeah, Jewish socialists help build multiracial democracy in America, man. What the fuck are we doing? I don't know exactly where this switch flipped. But there's a reason why people like Nick Fuentes, who are well-read neo-Nazis will regularly talk in the exact same way that Adolf Hitler did about a diverse society and how Jews played a formative role in it. Okay? That's why I talk about PEP, Progressive Except for Palestine, and how much American Jews have played an important role in all aspects of labor struggle, in all aspects of the civil rights struggle. Jewish socialists were instrumental in destroying the apartheid in South Africa, many of which are still alive. They're still around. What are we doing? These are very well-read, very influential, and oftentimes very wealthy individuals who are saying completely unhinged shit. It doesn't make any sense. You know better. You know better. You know better than to entertain these dangerous forces. That's crazy. It blows my mind how much the toxicity of Zionism has eroded even the self-preservation instinct of American Jews that lean into things like this, that lean into dangerous forces like this. It doesn't make any sense. Sometimes ethnic identity trumps over other values. You saw a decades-long alliance amongst Jewish and black New Yorkers in the civil rights movement completely collapse into animosity after the Crown Heights riot. We like to think we're above tribalism, but we aren't. I just think that, like, I just think you have to have higher principles, you know? You have to have higher values. It makes me sad when I watch my Jewish family members turn to reactionary beliefs, the progenitors of which do not have the best interest of Jewish safety at heart, no matter how much of a mirage they present. We saw with Ben Shapiro's end culture dismissiveness. John Podhoretz's Trump can say Shylock 100 times. He bombed Iran bullshit. Exactly. Exactly. I don't know why. If there's one lesson to learn, from Nazi Germany and the Holocaust, it's the fact that you cannot align with fascists because fascists are inevitably going to say you're a part of the out group. Jews have literally historically been this force in every single society that's collapsing. In every instance of economic volatility, who do the forces that control society turn to and shift the blame to? A minority population that has a lot of money. It's always been the Jews. You think that you can continue with this allegiance? Are you fucking stupid? Right now it's Muslims. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Muslims are the out group right now, but Jews will inevitably be the out group as well. So it doesn't make any fucking sense. It's kind of the whole point of building a multiracial, diverse society that exists harmoniously. That's the whole point. You think that you think that these guys won't eventually go, hey, you know what? You guys have a lot of money. You're a relatively small population. You have a lot of money. You have a lot of influence. We've now decided that your influence is negative. You think that same tribalistic force that you're leaning into right now is not going to eventually put the crosshairs on you? Are you fucking stupid? It's going to happen. It's already beginning to happen. I mean, look at James Fishback. James Fishback ran on the Holocaust might have not happened, but if it happened, it's good ticket, you know? And he got 10% of the vote in the Florida gubernatorial primaries for the Republican Party. The same forces that are putting the crosshairs, oftentimes, by the way, directed by Israel as well, the same forces that are fomenting Islamophobia are eventually going to come for you too. Okay? They are. It shouldn't get to that point for you to recognize that this is a dangerous movement that you are leaning into.
I don't believe that we can't have nice things. I'm not willing to pre-negotiate with the opposition who tells us that it's better for us to send our money over there to drop bombs over there than to invest in healthcare here. And my job as your senator is to go and have that conversation everywhere and try to move hearts and minds. That's the job. So how do you get it done? You actually do the work of persuasion. You actually go to the places where people don't expect you to show up and you have that conversation. And it turns out, I've been all over the state in places where people don't vote blue, quote unquote. And when you have those conversations with them, I had a guy come up to me, he's like, listen man, I don't like you. I was like, okay. He's like, but I'm gonna vote for you. I'm like, okay. He's like, I think you really want me to have healthcare. I was like, I really want you to have healthcare. He's like, I know. So I'm gonna vote for you. I was like, okay, so why don't you like me? He's like, because you're Muslim. I was like, but I don't need you to like me. I need you to like you.
Oh God, it's so crazy. God damn it, dude. That makes me so sad.
Vitas, thank you.
I don't like talking about this stuff, and I try not to, but obviously we're gonna be talking about it now because protest and chaotic scenes at Dearborn City Council meeting is the next story of today. But it's so insane that when you're a black candidate, you just have to deal with a barrage of anti-black racism, white supremacy. When you're a Muslim candidate, you have to deal with a barrage of Islamophobia, just open Islamophobia, even from allies, right? It's just so goddamn frustrating, man. It's so goddamn frustrating that it's just, and you have to eat it. You can't even talk about it because then half the conversation is now diluted into half the conversation now revolves around Islamophobia. So you can't even talk about it. You just have to eat it for the most part until it becomes so unbearable that you just have to say something and be like, all right, enough, guys. Jesus Christ. I mean, think about it. I talked about the consultants being Islamophobic to Abdullah al-Sayed in the primary. And then you had the same consultants yelling at me saying, how dare he bring up Islamophobia? Doesn't he want to win? I'm not supposed to say anything? It is so normalized that you can't even be like, look, I'm a Muslim American. I really like Abdullah. He's a Muslim American. It's kind of unbearable how much Islamophobic attacks he's receiving. You can't even say that without people going, shut the fuck up. And that was a real news story. That was on Fox News. That was on CBS. That was on MS Now. That was on Pod Save America. What are we going to do about this guy? Meanwhile, the consultant class were saying Abdullah al-Sayed was being anti-Semitic to Haley Stevens. Haley Stevens is Christian. She is not Jewish. What are we doing? It's just busted, man. It's broken. It's broken. It's so ridiculous. Just say the news, boy. You can't have feelings. Yeah. It's actually working, though. Triple haters. Yeah. Both Abdul al-Sayed and M. Rogers are viewed more negatively than favorably by most voters. At least 31% to 45 favorable and unfavorable for al-Sayed, 28 to 37 for Rogers. Among voters who disapprove of Trump's job performance and are unfavorable towards both al-Sayed and Rogers, the triple haters, they lean towards al-Sayed by a 26 to 15% margin, with 33% still undecided. It's literally just because he's Muslim. That's it. If Abdul al-Sayed's name was Anthony Brown Sanders, and he was a fucking white guy from Mackinac, okay, and he had the exact same policies, and he was advocating for the exact same shit, this race will be like 70-30 right now, okay? Like, what are we talking about? If Abdul al-Sayed looked like Graham Plattner, sounded like Graham Plattner, and his name was Anthony Brown Sanders, okay, he would be doing insane numbers. It's crazy. And that's just the reality. And we have to live in that reality. You can't complain about it. You can't complain about it. And I mean this sincerely. I'm not complaining about it. I try not to. I see it. I take it in. Whether I'm the victim of a similar circumstance where people rush to find reasonable ways of saying that I'm a fucking Islamic jihadist terrorist over and over again. And many liberal outlets do this too. Many liberal outlets do this all the fucking time. We just got to eat it. You just got to eat it. There's an election happening. You just got to eat it. There's nothing you can do about it. Facebook is pushing Islamophobia aggressively. It's disgusting. There was an article that says Meta won't do a damn thing about it. It's disgusting. Oh, yeah. And lo and behold, I mean, part of this is because it is the new Zionist strategy. The Israel foreign minister, Amichai Chikli, said it himself. We do not give as much of a fuck about anti-Semitism any longer. We are focusing our efforts on boosting Islamophobia. And here's a great example of this, of course. He's part of the Mike Rogers campaign leadership, and he's rallying with out-of-state January 6th terrorist Jake Lang tonight in Dearborn. Will Mike Rogers disavow this? Will he? Everybody talked about Abdul al-Sayed disavowing me. Jake Lang is a straight-up fucking Nazi, dude. Straight-up Nazi. Will the media cover it? Yeah. After anti-Semitic white nationalist Jake Lang ranted that Muslims are mongrel third worlders who are multiplying like cockroaches, MAGA pastor Lorenzo Sewell called on church elders to lay hands on, pray over, and anoint Lang with oil. I want to pray for Jake, y'all. I love that. I love you, man. That's what he said. This guy is literally working. The pastor that we're talking about is literally working with Mike Rogers. Like, I don't have a formal position on the Abdul al-Sayed campaign. And think about how much they talked about my involvement. Meanwhile, Lorenzo Sewell is literally Mike Rogers' campaign coordinator. He is the faith coalition coordinator for Mike Rogers' U.S. Senate campaign. What are we doing? Where is the standard from the news media? Where is the standard? Where is CBS on this issue? Where's ABC? Where is MS Now? Where's CNN? Do y'all not care about this at all? And the answer is no, they don't. It's because if you're a Republican, you get to do it. That double standard is glaringly obvious for anyone that pays even a little bit of attention to mainstream reporting. They know how this shit works. They see it. And this double standard is also part of the reason why a lot of people despise mainstream outlets.
This morning in Dearborn, where tensions were high ahead of a city council meeting last night. Anti-Islamic protesters clashed with folks in Dearborn and their supporters. There were many arguments between the groups throughout the day. One protester taken into custody for throwing a punch at a police officer. The crowd tried to rush through the library doors just before the start of that meeting, but crowd control measures they were used to push them back. Here's what people on both sides had to say.
We are a Christian nation. We love Jesus, and that's why we're here, to take freedom of speech, and it's a free country, and that's why we're here.
I think we should all stand united together as one, and I don't think there's room for people like Jake Lang to come cut us up, divide us.
The majority of protesters left before the end of the city council meeting. For more on what happened inside that meeting, we go live now to our Jordan Burroughs, who's in Dearborn for us this morning. And Jordan, what was the scene like there last night?
Yeah, Sandra, perfectly described when you were talking about that one protester arrested. So there were periods of tension, but all in all, it really was just this protest and this crusade. And mostly was just people disagreeing with one another, but at a high level, loud conversations, people being boisterous. Like you had mentioned, don't know exactly how many arrests there are, but some people were arrested inside the meeting. Less tensions, but maybe more severe being talked about in this city council. Nonetheless, that city council meeting was not business as usual. It's never usually held at the Henry Ford Centennial Library, and it was moved here. No law enforcement could work on crowd control and make sure that the community felt safe. This Jake Lang character, someone that we've been talking about, for a couple weeks since we've heard that he was planning this protest, he gathered for what he called this Christian Crusader March. He and his supporters and then several community members crowded that meeting space here at the library. But we know residents in Dearborn and surrounding communities also traveled here as well to make sure that their voices were heard. Like you had mentioned, Sandra, the crowd tried to rush to the doors ahead of the meeting with police providing.
Is it still effing? I don't know what's going on, chat. Does she know she has you blocked? Okay, guys, lock in. We're not talking about Candace right now. So in the Dearborn event, there were a lot of people that came in, white nationalists, neo-Nazis and the like, and said, like, America's never going to be a Muslim nation, fuck Sharia law, all this stuff, right? Like, it's like very racist nonsense. And one of the guys also talked about me, apparently, and brought up the fact that I was going to take all the white women. That came from the Elon Musk clip of me in 2018 making a joke about the Great Replacement being fake. So what's wild about this shit, what's crazy about this shit is that, like, they are gearing up, they're tuning up some of the most psychotic individuals in American society right now to take action, to take matters into their own hands. Like, and it frustrates me to no end that we're putting these Muslim communities in a compromised position. And it's very clear that, like, a lot of liberals are also leaning into it. So earlier in the day, we talked about Israel actively fomenting Islamophobia because they know that they have no defense whatsoever against the wave of anti-Israel sentiment. This is it. This is a byproduct of that. And that's why it's not a fucking accident, and it's not a secret that so many of these institutions, these supposedly liberal institutions, are also either refusing to reckon with the Islamophobia, refusing to criticize it, or outright endorsing it. Okay? They're outright fucking endorsing it. And it's very frustrating to see. Because these kinds of hateful narratives are not going to stop with Muslims. They never do. Okay? It's not. It's going to design a society that you do not want to live in. This is exactly what happened in Nazi Germany. And that is precisely what's happening once again. So, if you think that if you're pro-Israel and if you think like, oh, it'll just stop with trans people, it'll stop with Muslims, it'll stop with undocumented migrants, it won't. It won't. Those in positions of power will always use tribalism and will always try to divide and conquer. And the antidote to that is solidarity. The antidote to that is to fight back. The antidote to that is to say, this is not America. America is the most diverse nation on the fucking planet. So stop leaning into this shit, man. I know that in the interim, you might think, oh, well, they're taking care of my enemies. This guy, he hates Israel. Fuck this guy. He's a terrorist. And you find yourself swept away with this argument, this notion that, you know, as long as we can ham up the Islamophobic narrative, as long as we can say all of Israel's critics are just obsessed. They've lost their minds on Jew hatred. They're obsessed. You might think that it helps you in the interim, in the short term, but it's not. It's not going to be helpful for you at all in the long term. Your whiteness is also conditional. Your whiteness as a part of the in-group is also conditional. And even then, are white Hispanics white? And then, are Slavs white? Are Jews white? These will be the next conversations that they're having. And you won't have any allies by your side at that point to defend you. So we got to nip this in the bud ASAP. This is what's happened in the past and it's happening now. Sammy Gold says, Islamophobia is the anti-Semitism of the 21st century. It's focused on an insular, upwardly mobile minority who others use as a scapegoat for their grander conspiracies. Islamo-leftism is the same valence as Judeo-Bolshevism. What was the Jewish equivalent of ISIS in 9/11? People blamed the ills of capitalism and the existence of communism on the Jews. Yeah. I hate how much it sounds like you're talking in 1930s Germany. Well, in many respects, that is what we're doing right now.
We heard from Lank, we heard from city council members, and we also heard from community members before, during, and after this city council meeting.
This is an invasion on all fronts. Our people are being pushed out of the workplace. We're being pushed out of city councils. That smug face of the Taqiyya Muslims.
Oh, Taqiyya, you know, the thing that Neera Tanden accused me of by way of Laura Loomer.
Needs to be wiped off these people's faces.
They would have you believe our city is under siege. This is no more than an attempt to stoke fear and could not be further from the truth.
To those who came to Dearborn looking to spread fear and division, I say to you, come see the real Dearborn.
The majority of community members in Dearborn were calling on unity. Live in Dearborn, Jordan Burroughs, CBS News, Detroit.
And we should mention that we reached out to both Senate candidates who are running right now for that important office, Mike Rogers and also Dr. Abdul Al-Sayed. We did not hear back from Mike Rogers, wanted to know if he had any comments, thoughts about what it is that happened in this state in which the entire world was watching. Dr. Abdul Al-Sayed did agree to talk to us. He joins us now live via Zoom. And Dr. Al-Sayed, good to see you. Thanks for joining us here today. I want to ask you, this is not the first time we've seen this type of thing happen with Jake Lang or, for instance, with Terry Jones many years ago. How do you think it was handled? How do you think it went?
Yeah, Roop, first, thank you so much for having me, and I'm sorry to have to meet under these circumstances because, what you're seeing here is a bunch of out-of-state agitators coming in defiance of the broad, incredible America that we exemplify here in Michigan. A guy like Jake Lang.
Bro, if we fucking hated America, we would be Republican. I will keep repeating this over and over again, okay? Like, who would put up with this shit? That's what's so crazy, especially with Abdul. I mean, he loves America all the way. I don't think I've ever met someone who loves America as much as this man does. Or even sometimes I'm like, all right, man, I get it. Okay. And it's so crazy. Like people will constantly do this to me too. They're like, you fucking hate America. It's like, bitch, I live here. I can live anywhere I want. Why do I live here? And then the answer is, because you want to destroy America from within. Well, if I wanted to do that, why am I not a Republican? Like, can we get over this ridiculous nonsense? The idea that like Muslim Americans are here to destroy the country. Why would anybody want to live in a country that they're destroying? Yeah, if you're rich, you could live easily. It really doesn't make sense in an argument. Exactly. I would have moved in your position. I know. I mean, plenty of people probably would have. But I'm endlessly stubborn. I'm a socialist, man. I'm a socialist in the United States of America. You have to fucking have backbone. You have to be super, super stubborn. Like every single person that comes in here and says that I am an Islamic jihadist who must be assassinated, I want them to have health care. Okay? I want all of them to have free health care. I want all of them to be able to go to college for free. There's so much potential in this country that we're just casting aside at the behest of the almighty dollar, at the altar of the almighty dollar, so that a handful of psychopathic, bloodless, parasitic capital-owning monsters can generate unfathomable amounts of profit over and over again, destroying everyone else in the fucking process.
Is coming to try and make news, to try to highlight something he doesn't understand, which is the notion of an America that is big enough for all kinds of people. I think about my household. I was raised by my father, who's an Egyptian immigrant. My stepmom, Jackie, who's a daughter of the American Revolution. Chances are her family's been here longer than Jake Lang's. And I got to grow up in this incredible household where we understood that whether I was talking to my parents who are Muslim, or my grandparents who are deacons at the Presbyterian Church, or my uncle who's atheist, that the things that brought us together are so much bigger than the things that tear us apart. Now, it's always been this competition. Small people like Jake Lang or Donald Trump or Mike Rogers, for that matter, want to make America a lot smaller than we know it to be. But I've had the privilege to travel across this state for the past year plus. I've been to 110 different cities, and people aren't as interested in how you pray. They're interested in what you pray for. If you pray, what you hope for, what you want for your kids. And that's the kind of America I know. That's the kind of Michigan I know.
Dude, look at Roop Raj, my goat.
People like Jake Lang don't understand that.
You came to the forefront again after 2018 running for governor, and now in the Senate race. The visibility of that race, of course, across the world has been watched. So much has been written about you, your wife, your family, your grandparents. Do you see a rise in this kind of sentiment from Jake Lang because of your ascent into the limelight?
You know, they've been trying to battle for a small America where only some kind of people get to belong. And the thing about that they don't understand is, you know, we just celebrated 250 years of an America built around the idea of a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, around the idea that there shall be no religious test, around the idea of e pluribus unum, out of many one, and the idea that somebody who has a name like mine or prays like I do could be elected by his or her fellow Michiganders. That's contrary to what America, the America that they want it to be, but it's exactly the America that our founding fathers understood our country to be a part of. And I just want to say to all of the folks out there in Dearborn, all the folks out there who are afraid today because of how they pray or because of where their family comes from or because of what their name might be or who they love or how they identify or all the different ways that people like Jake Lang might say that they don't belong, that you do belong here, that this is your America too. And the things that bring us together are what we believe in about what our country can be, what we can build together when we reach across those divides, not because we're all the same, but because we all want the same things when we look our kids in the eye. And that's the opportunity I'm reaching for.
Dr. Abdullah Al-Sayed, we thank you for your time here today. Again, we should mention we reached out to you at the same time, reaching out to your opponent to see if they wanted to offer any thoughts as well. We thank you for taking the time to join us here tonight, keeping it relatively, unpartisan here and just having the conversation that's very, very important. Thanks for your time here tonight.
You know, there's been a effort.
Did Abdul dye his beard? I don't think so. He's so good, man. He's so good.